Good afternoon, everyone. Now, Star Wars, Marvel, Friends, Harry Potter. These are not just films or shows, these are emotions. If you are a part of any of these fandoms, you are bound to be familiar with the Soul Store, a passion project turned into one of India's leading e commerce platforms for merchandise in affordable prices with a personalized touch. As a Harry Potter fan myself, I do not look at any other store for my Potterhead needs. Today we have with us the co-founder and the licensing head at Soulstore, Mr. Harsh Lal. With a degree from the Government of Law College, Harsh Lal has over 9 years of experience in client acquisition, negotiations, key account management, and developing new channels for sale. With tons of experience and learnings, he's here today to share his insights with us at MET. I'm Annette Samuel, and welcome to MET, sir. We are really happy to have you here today with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And it's it's great chatting with all of you guys. And congratulations. You're wearing one of our top selling products, the Gryffindor sweater. So
Yes,
great
I
choice,
am.
definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So let's dive deep into the conversation, sir. And
Sure.
I'd request you to please let us know about how Soul Store was, came into inception. What was the need gap, and how did you, translate the opportunity into value offerings?
Awesome. So I'm going to answer your question in two parts. The first is why we decided to start the Soul Store, and then what we decided the Soul Store should be. Right. I think the why was pretty simple. There's the simple short answer was all of us hated our first jobs. We all graduated. Three of my co-founders were engineers. I was a lawyer. We all took up jobs after we graduated because we needed something to pay the bills, but none of us were actually excited about what we were doing. And we gave it some time. We gave it 6 months. We gave it a year, and we realized this is not something that we want to do for the rest of our lives. So we decided to basically take a bit of a gamble. We decided to take whatever little money we had saved from our first jobs, and it wasn't a lot of money because back in 2012, 2013, companies didn't pay as well as they do today. So we were all basically working on minimum wage essentially, and we decided to pool our savings and start something together, something we would actually enjoy doing and looking forward to. So when we were thinking of what we should do, I think, like you mentioned, Annette, all of us have been fans of all of these properties growing up. I watch WWE till today. A lot of people are surprised that I've not grown out of my WWE phase, but I'm still a hardcore WWE fan. I absolutely love and follow almost every sport there is. We've all grown up reading comics, watching superhero movies, watching Friends, Big Bang Theory, all of these shows. And what we realized in it was that, as fans of these shows, as fans of all of these characters ourselves, there wasn't any product or any merchandise that actually was available for us to express our fandom, right? There was a massive gap in the market when we started in 2013. So you either had a handful of people selling fake products on various marketplaces or on the streets, where you would buy, say, a t-shirt for 200, 250 rupees. You didn't know what the quality is like. If you get lucky, it'll last you for a couple of months. If you don't get lucky, it's probably going to start shrinking in one wash. So there was absolutely no quality controls. The other option was, if you're lucky and you have a relative or a cousin or a friend in the US or the UK, you can ask them to get one of these t-shirts or these products back for you. But it's extremely expensive, right? It's not something that you can keep pulling your favors every once in a while and say, hey, can you get this? Can you get this? Can you get this? Now, the funny part was most of these expensive products that you're buying from the US, the UK, or wherever else it is, were most likely designed and manufactured in India. So they were exported to the US, and then you're paying shipping charges to get that same product back to India, which absolutely does not make sense. So we realized the system was super inefficient. We also realized that like us, there are many people who are fans of all of these characters, but there is no one solution that can give you great designs, great product quality, and at a price that is affordable, right? I think there was either one or the other solution being taken care of, but no one taking care of all of them. So that's what we actually decided to solve when we began the Soul Store. And I'm really, really excited and proud to mention that from back in 2013, over the last 8 to 9 years, we've now tied up with more than 150 partners across pop culture, entertainment, and sports. And that list keeps expanding. So I think it's been a very, very fulfilling journey. And I think the one thing that's not changed since then is every person at the Soul Store is a fan of some property themselves, from a customer care team to a product design team to the supply chain team to the marketing team to the licensing team. everyone is a fan themselves. Everyone is super excited to be able to work on these opportunities. And even today, when we get free tickets to an IPL match, or we got backstage access to one of the WWE shows, we got to meet a couple of wrestlers. These are people that you've grown up watching. You almost think of them in a mythical sort of celebrity way. And when you get to meet them one on one, actually interact with them, it's a very, very special feeling. So yeah, very grateful for how our journey has progressed over the last 8, 9 years.
Definitely, sir. I think that's what sets Soul Store apart from the other merchandising shops. Even when I'm sure every one of us here who's has the Soul Store app or has subscribed to it, you get personalized messages. And I
Yeah.
cannot control myself. I my cart is never empty, to be very
Awesome.
honest.
I'm going to
Just
tell our marketing team they're doing their job well.
absolutely, they're doing a very good job, sir. So, in a nutshell, I think Soul Store solves three problems: that's design, quality, and the price.
Correct.
So these three problems are solved under one roof, and I think you're doing it really well, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Annette.
Moving on, sir. The D2C category, like you mentioned, is now very cluttered. Back then, you were the market leader. You are a market leader now, but the category is still cluttered. So, what do you think brands should do to create, a differentiated offering for themselves?
Sure. I think great question, Annette. When we did start back in 2013, there were probably a handful of brands. I think our timing also worked out for us because that was the cusp of when a lot more people were getting cheaper internet plans, a lot more people were spending time on their phone. People were slowly getting used to the idea of e-commerce and online shopping. And even the licensed merchandise space, as I mentioned, was fairly new or fairly unevolved. So I think in that sense, that did give us a bit of a head start compared to a lot of other brands that have come up. And in the last couple of years, we have seen that when you're scrolling through your social media, every couple of scrolls, you will be spammed by some brand sending you some new product, some new design, some new character. I think the one important piece of advice that I would like to give anyone starting off today or someone who started recently is that there is a very, very big misconception online that if you want to succeed as an online brand or as an e-commerce brand, you have to keep spamming and flooding your customers with discounts. It's something that started with the marketplaces with regular sales. Pretty much every day, if you go on the marketplace, there is a new sale, right? As a customer, I'm almost now fed up when I see 20, 30, 40, 50% off because if I'm getting those same discounts every single day, what is the additional value that you are adding for me? I think the second important thing to realize for any brand starting off today is that if your USP or your only differentiating factor is the point that you are cheaper than your competitors, then it's going to be very easy for someone else to come in with a larger funding round with more money to burn. They can essentially offer prices lower than yours and take away your customers, right? So it's very important to realize that customers today are not loyal. I mean, if your only differentiating factor is price, you will never have a loyal set of customers. You have to look at providing value to the customers for the price that you're charging a customer. Make sure the product or the service that you are offering them justifies the price that you are offering. And if a customer sees quality, if a customer sees value, if a customer sees great service when they are interacting with your brand, that is when the customer is a lot more likely to recommend you to his or her friends. That's when the customer is likely to stick around for a longer time. And that is when the money that you are spending today acquiring a new customer is actually going to be justified over a longer period of time when they keep coming back again and again. Otherwise, what happens is you end up spending a lot of money acquiring a customer. You take a hit on the margins by giving them a big discount so that they try out your brand for the first time. Now, once I've experienced your brand at a low price point for the first time, unless you keep giving me those discounts again and again and again, I'm going to keep switching brands because I only came for the price, not for the design or the service. So I think if you look at adding value to your customers rather than simply competing on price, you're in a much better position to actually succeed, especially in the online world.
So, adding value to customers rather than keeping price as a USP is going to be the forerunner for any business that's wanting to be successful on the e-commerce platform.
Definitely. I mean, unless you have unlimited pockets, which most companies don't. So if you're starting up and you're going to go through the struggles that most other startups do, and you don't have infinite money to burn, then this is the more sensible, practical, sustainable way of actually starting something.
Okay. It's like you mentioned that brands are competing. Like when they enter the market, those who have the money or those who don't have the money, they usually start off or aim to be a unicorn someday. Now, however, there's a big question mark looming over their profitability. So, how do you think these companies that are aiming to be a unicorn make them more profitable? Do you think that aspirational value of being a unicorn should be a forerunner, or thinking of a profitability for your business is what they should be focusing on?
I think to be very honest, and then even some of the and we've seen a lot of companies getting billion-dollar plus valuations in the last couple of years. I think that is a byproduct of the hard work that a company is putting in. I don't think anyone starts off a company saying, I want to become $100 million company or a $500 million company or a $1 billion company. I can also assure you that all of these companies that have become unicorns are now not simply saying, I want to go from $1 billion to $2 billion. What they are looking at is becoming the leaders in their space and capturing the entire market. So I think a lot of times it becomes easy, it becomes a little glamorous to try quantifying achievements in terms of numbers. And also $1 billion and $1 million sounds really nice. It's a nice whole number. But I think what is more important, like I said, is creating actual value, understanding why have you started a company, what is your eventual goal? Is it I want to make sure that everyone has a Source app on their phone? I want to make sure that every person who orders food is going to Zomato. I want to make sure that anyone who orders anything for convenience is coming to Amazon. I think most companies that eventually reach $1 billion plus have a larger vision in terms of capturing the market. And the $1 billion or the $5 billion valuation is more a validation of the work that they've put in. It's not the finish line.
So now the Soul Store has been present on so many platforms, and we see them on almost every media channel. So now, as a brand, how are you converging these different platforms, or media convergence? How does Soul Store do that and still stay relevant to the times?
Sure. So I'm assuming you're talking about different marketing channels as opposed to different sales channels, if that's
Yes,
correct.
marketing channels.
Sure. So we've actually seen a pretty interesting evolution in terms of marketing. This is a function of where we were when we started off versus where we are today. The fact that we started off as an entirely self-funded organization and then along the way raised certain rounds of funding. So when we started off, as I mentioned, we had 1 year worth of savings of the four of us. We had two very simple choices in front of us. You either make this company work somehow or the other. You work 200%, you beg, borrow, steal, whatever it is, and you make sure that you grow this 5 lakhs into something that will hopefully sustain itself for the next many years. Or you fail, you go back to your job and you keep complaining about every Monday morning. So we had a pretty strong motivating factor when we started off, and we didn't really give ourselves the option of failing. Now, when you do have a very limited capital to begin with, you have to be very smart about how much you're spending on your website, on your inventory, how much money am I spending marketing. And at that point in time, we never had the luxury of burning money to get customers, right? I couldn't say, come to the source of because we're 50% off, because we're 70% off. The company would have shut in 6 months. We would have been back to desk jobs in 7 months and would have all been complaining in 8 months, right? So when we started off, it was very important to make sure that from day one itself, we were profitable. The margins were making sense. If I'm buying a product at X, if I'm spending Y rupees on marketing and shipping, etc., I have to make sure that on every single T-shirt I sell, every single order that I ship out, I am making money. If that does not happen, I am not going to grow. So we organically grew an initial investment or an initial savings of 5 lakhs back in 2013 to a company that was doing about 35 crores a year of business by 2018. And that's actually when we raised our first round of funding. So at a time where most online brands are struggling to get customers and they are slashing their prices and discounting products, we actually had the opposite problem where we had to keep increasing our prices because our inventory was not able to keep up with the demand. We were not able to scale and manage customer requirements because we did not have the capital. So we realized that this is a very big opportunity miss for us. The fact that we are raising our prices means we don't have enough inventory to actually sell. And if a product was anyway going to get sold out, I would rather increase the prices and make more money off it. So that's when we actually decided to take our first round of external funding in about end 2018 because we realized that there is an opportunity for us. There is clearly potential for us to grow, and we are only limited right now by the funds that we have. So we raised our first round of funding in 2018, and that's when we actually started focusing a lot more on branding as well, in addition to performance marketing. So within about 6 months of us raising our first round of funding, we actually started our first offline store, which was purely from a branding point of view. We wanted to have a permanent sort of billboard at a premium location in Bombay, which is where we are based out of. And we thought instead of spending money simply on a billboard, why not actually invest that money in an offline store where you have a permanent branding at a premium location, but you can also sell products and make money. More importantly, customers can actually visit your store, they can interact physically with your brand and with your team and just get a physical the soul store experience. So that's when we decided to go offline. And then obviously after we raised our third round of funding towards the end of last year, we are now focusing on a lot more branding related activations as well, which includes tie-ups with celebrities, doing more television ads, and doing larger brand campaigns. So I think as the company has evolved, as our funding has grown, as the customer base has grown, we've moved from an entirely performance-driven marketing campaign to performance marketing plus branding, because it is now important for the next phase of growth for people's perception of the soul store to change as a national brand. So that's one of the reasons that we've tied up with celebrities. It adds a lot more credibility. I think it helps us reach out to a much wider audience base as well. And it essentially opens up the soul store to a new set of customers that may or may not have previously heard of us. So that's where we're at today. And yeah, you'll definitely be seeing a lot more very interesting celebrity tie-ups, a lot of sponsorships, and a lot of new licenses in the next 3 to 6 months.
I think it was a really good decision, sir, to be putting up a physical store, because I myself, when I used to shop on the app, I used to always think, what would a soul store look like? And when I actually went and visited the store, I was really happy to actually see the Harry Potter wands and touch them, feel them. And
Awesome.
I
Thank
also
you.
got my letters and everything from there. So it was a really good, as a consumer, I would say, it's a really good experience to be at the Soul Store, and I'm really looking forward to future collaborations by Soulster.
Awesome. Thank you.
So moving on to the next question. So what is a piece of advice that you would like to give to budding marketers today? You've already mentioned, like, now brands have to change and get accustomed to what consumer needs in this new kind of market. So what do you think you want to give today's marketers a short message, and how can they upskill themselves?
Okay, so I think the first part, if I have to, again, I think there is the beauty of what we're doing is it's pretty much evolving on a daily basis. Everything that we thought we knew and everything that we thought we had figured out many years ago pretty much changes on a 3 month or a 6 month basis. But I think the general advice that I would give to any brand and not just marketeers is, the earlier on in your journey you figure out what does your brand stand for, what is your brand's vision, what is your brand's position. I think it's these are things that a lot of people may not focus on in the first couple of years, because you have other more pressing concerns like, will my brand survive, I need to figure out 500 things on my own. But it's important for brands and marketers to keep at least one eye on the bigger picture in terms of, what is my brand going to look like 3 years down the line, what is my brand going to look like 5 years down the line. Is what I'm doing today only solving today's problem, but would it be in conflict with how I would want to be seen as a brand 5 years down the line? I think there is a tendency, obviously, to focus very heavily on the short term. We also see so many brands taking up multiple social causes, taking up multiple stands on every issue from the smallest to the biggest. I think as a brand, it's okay to not have an opinion on every single thing that's going around, whether it's political, whether it's social, whether it's religious, whether it's something else. I think customers don't expect you to have an answer or an opinion on every single thing. You are not a politician. I think the only people in the world who have an answer for everything are politicians. We are not politicians. So I think as a brand, see what are the causes that you genuinely believe in, what are the things you believe in as a brand, and give it your 200%. But avoid the temptation of jumping in on everything that's trending, on everything that people want you to have an opinion on, because at some point your loyal customers will start questioning you. They'll start questioning what your brand stands for. And while you may get engagement, you may get some sort of traction in the shorter term, I think you are definitely taking a much larger dilution hit in the longer term. So my sort of one line advice is, don't sacrifice longer term goals for shorter term gains. And it's something that's very tempting. It's something we've also probably been guilty of when we started off. But if I could go back and do something differently, this is something I would definitely focus on a lot more.
Thank you so much. That was a one short, crisp message. I think all of us have taken note of it. Now, I'd like to ask you, sir, can you spare a little more time if we have questions from the audience? Can we take that?
Definitely. Yes, please. I'd be happy to.
Does anybody have any questions, comments? You can please put them down or raise your hands. We'll take them.
starting when you were starting the brand Soul Store, you guys started in 2013. Did you all any time face a problem like guys are getting into a niche category and it would be a problem scaling up this brand to a national level because not everybody would want a Harry Potter sweater per se back in 2013.
So to be honest, Nakshatra, it actually worked out the opposite for us. We realized that when we were starting off a brand, none of us came from a family business. None of us had any experience in this at all. And if I'm a random customer today looking at a new brand called The Soul Store, I have absolutely no reason to trust a completely random, completely new online brand, right? And I think what really helped us, in fact, was the fact that we were officially working with the Harry Potters, the Friends, the Big Bang Theories, and the Marvels of the world. I think for us to initially convince customers to try out the Soul Store for the first time, these licenses helped add that authenticity and that credibility. So, and this is in fact an interesting insight that I'd like to share with everyone. So, what we've seen over the years is we obviously started out as an out and out pop culture brand that was heavily catering to people who were fans of various TV shows, movies, etc. Now, one interesting insight we've seen over the last 4 to 5 years is a lot of people will first try out the Soul Store or give us a chance because you're a Harry Potter fan or you're a Marvel fan. So you're buying it because you want to wear an Iron Man t-shirt. But once they actually come to a website, once they've tried out one of these products, once they like the quality, the service, the fit, and they trust the brand, that is when we see them buying a lot of our other designs and our plain t-shirts as well, right? So if I have to give you a simple example, the reason people will pay an additional price or a premium for a Nike t-shirt is not because of that tick, but because that tick symbolizes a certain quality, a certain premiumness that you are proud to wear. I think that the most interesting part of our journey has been how a lot of customers have tried us because of our licenses and collaborations, but they've eventually stuck on and become regular TSS customers simply because they love the product and the service. So I feel this in fact helped us reduce our marketing costs because if I had to convince you to simply buy a plain t-shirt at the Soul Store 8 years ago, I would have not been able to do it. But if you're a Harry Potter fan, I think J.K. Rowling and DC and Marvel, all of these guys have spent billions of dollars and so many years making sure that all of you guys love the properties and love the characters. And our job was to simply inform you that, hey, this is available, right? We didn't have to educate customers. We didn't have to convince customers. We had to simply inform customers that these products are available. And that actually helped us significantly reduce our marketing costs as well as acquire customers for the future that have been with us. So it actually worked the opposite way for us.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Most
you,
welcome.
Nakshat. Shreyas, you can ask your question.
Sir, actually, I have two questions.
Sure.
Uh, First question is that where did you what made you keep the name of your company the Soul Store? So, what reason is that? So, that
Okay.
is okay, sir. After you.
So that was actually it's a little embarrassing. It's a little cheesy to say now, but as I mentioned, all of us disliked our first jobs. We all kept hearing a lot about follow your heart, follow your soul, follow your passion. So the whole idea of the Soul Store was born with the idea of following your soul and actually doing what you love. And while the name is extremely cheesy to think of 8 9 years down the line, I think that's one philosophy we've stuck to from our first day in 2013 till today. Every single person who joins the Soul Store, as a part of our team, we are very, very clear that we want to create an environment where people actually enjoy doing what they do. Everyone actually looks forward to coming on a Monday morning because we've seen that when we were working at companies where we were not happy, I can absolutely assure you that we were the least productive people in those teams. We used to always make sure that you give your 50 60%. Whatever minimum effort is required to get the job done is what we used to do, and we would have never gone out of our way, right? Everyone is looking forward for Friday, everyone is looking forward to 7 or 8 p.m. so you can leave office. And I think when you approach work with that mindset, you're never going to be in a position to maximize your own potential or to give your 200% to the organization. So making sure that people, they're enjoying what they do, making sure they have fun, and making sure they don't look at it as, "Arey, ye to work, I want to just get done with it and leave." I think it's very, very important to create that environment to actually get the best out of your team, and that philosophy is something we've very, very strongly maintained since day one. And I'm happy to say that even at the scale we've reached today, that philosophy hasn't changed.
Sir, can
Yes,
I
yes.
ask another one?
Sure, please.
Sir, so what I feel is that like every human being can come up with an idea. So I have 100 ideas in my mind which I like I want to start my this business, that business and stuff like that.
Yes.
But where the problem is in the execution part of it. So
Yes.
how did you like from an idea to your business which is today, which is great? So what execution on how, which levels did you start and how did you pursue the goal?
So I think great point, Shreyas. One is it's important for a lot of people who are thinking of starting their own organizations either during college or after college or whatever point you are in your journey to realize that having a great idea does not change anything, right? Also, a lot of people end up starting something out of FOMO. I've got a great idea today. Let me jump in and rush in and start this immediately. Otherwise, what if someone else comes up with this idea? I can absolutely assure you that your idea is not unique. Your idea is not something that is so insane that if someone else takes the idea first, they will do a better job, right? Idea is 1%, execution is 99. So if the fear is that someone else can take my idea and essentially steal it and be successful, that means their execution was better, your idea was not. I think that's very important to realize that you don't start a company purely out of FOMO. The second thing, Shreyas, is as I mentioned, we didn't have the option of failing. There were a lot of challenges that we faced, and to be honest, within the first 6 months or 12 months, if we really wanted to, we would have given ourselves 500 reasons to quit, right? From something as basic as, your manufacturer is committing a certain price to you and then eventually they're charging you more. The manufacturer promises you on so and so date, I will give you so many t-shirts, and then there's a delay, and then the customer's asking, where's my product? To, like certain quality issues, because when we started off, we were the smallest clients of all of our manufacturers. So at that point in time, they're not going to take you seriously. They will overcharge you. They will be, mind my language, but they will be complete assholes to you because they can afford to be, and you are not their priority, right? You are just additional side business for them. So we've gone through that entire grind. We've delivered orders ourselves, we've packed orders ourselves, we've set up the warehouse on our own. When we were shifting offices for the first time from a small little garage to an actual office that we were proud of calling an office, we had a lot of labor issues where the local labor people wanted to actually charge us a lot of money and set up the office. So we actually didn't have the money to pay them at that time. We paid them a small amount and said, okay, you know what? You keep this money. That's absolutely okay. Don't charge us more money. We will set up the whole office on our own. So we actually moved about 4,000 5,000 t-shirts, which at that time was an insane inventory. And we literally spent the whole night setting up our office just so we could save a few thousand rupees in additional labor charges. So I think what is super important, Shreyas, is to understand that at different points in time we're going to have different issues. Today, fortunately, we don't have issues where we need to, physically go and set up t-shirts or warehouse on our own. We don't have issues where a manufacturer is going to lie to us about costing or quality and any of these other things. But as you keep scaling, you're going to be getting new and new challenges, and most of these challenges you will not be prepared for because you only realize those challenges once you reach a certain scale. I think what is most important out here is your mindset in understanding that you are going to face difficult situations daily, you are going to face issues daily, and to be very honest, you will definitely have more difficult days than good days. You will have more bad days than good days, right? This is not a, I think entrepreneurship is not a highlights package where every ball is a four and every ball is a six. It's absolutely not that. It's probably the first section of a test match where you're struggling, surviving, and then hoping that as you keep surviving, things will improve. So I think it's very important to understand that if you're ready for that 200% grind, then it can be a very, very rewarding journey. But it's also important to understand that not everyone is necessarily cut out for entrepreneurship, and I think that's perfectly fine. Some people would succeed better in a job, some people would succeed starting off, some people would probably succeed freelancing. So I think it's important to understand what excites you, where do you think you can give your 200%, what are you most keen on doing for the rest of your life, and I think follow that. So don't look at someone else's journey, don't think of it as a template where if I don't do ABC things, that means I have not succeeded. I think understand what you like, and that's pretty much been the life story of mine. That I've done 20 different things before I started the soul. So I think it's perfectly fine. So keep figuring till you know what you want, but don't follow someone else's path just because they've convinced you that that is what every successful person should do. That is absolutely the worst lie you can tell yourself. Yeah, so I'm
Thank you
sorry it
so
was
much.
a slightly long answer, but I thought it's important for me to just share this feedback because I've gone through certain similar things many years ago. So I think it's important for me to just pass on those sort of learnings to you guys.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that was a really eye-opening answer, and all of us loved it. Ria, you can go next.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Riya.
So my question was that so Soulstore is basically primarily based on merchandise, but and that limits your audience to the people who love wearing merchandise. But is that a fear, like for future, that your audience basically consists of that? Like how, like do you all plan to go in another? Like, is that ever a fear that do you plan? Does that limit you, or it makes you more unique?
I think
Considering how
Ria,
it's a cluttered
great
category.
question. I think the one thing I want to point out here, Ria, is the question you've asked us right now. Our question that our investors asked us as well before they were investing. So I think firstly, congratulations. It's a great question. It's the first time I've heard this in a college lecture. It's a very investor type question. So yes, I agree completely with you that at some point, if the only core or the only identity is licensed merchandise, then at some point, if not today, maybe tomorrow, next year, there are certain limitations, of course. And what if I'm not a fan? What if I don't want to wear a louder t-shirt or a more graphic t-shirt? And over the last couple of years, we've kind of, I would say, we've moved away from that core, but we've expanded from an out and out pop culture superhero graphic brand into more of a casual wear lifestyle brand. I think that is definitely what our goal is. So if you ask me what is our vision, we don't want to be India's number one brand for official merchandise. That's something we are today. We want to be India's number one casual wear lifestyle brand. Yes, the licenses and the collaborations will form an important part of what we do. But in terms of economies of scale, in terms of margins, and purely in terms of reaching out to a much larger audience base, that casual wear or the lifestyle umbrella essentially covers a much larger set of people. And keeping that in mind, you would have seen in the last, say, year or two, we've actually expanded our categories a lot. So from being a superhero t-shirt brand or a cartoon t-shirt brand, you're going to see a lot of different styles and cuts in dresses. You're going to see plain pants. You're going to see plain shirts. You're seeing a lot more play with fits, fabrics, and styles over simply more and more cartoon characters. We are going to be launching a lot of new movies, TV shows, superheroes, IPL teams, football teams. Don't get me wrong, but yes, there is a very clear focus on the other side of the business as well. And that's something that we've consciously been growing at a very steady rate over the last few years. And you will see a lot more fashion led or lifestyle led products and categories on the Soul Store as we proceed. But yeah, I think congratulations once again, Ria. It's a very well thought question. And I think when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, I would have absolutely never even thought of asking such a question. So very good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ria. Do we have another question? Nishita had a question. Yes, Nishita, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hi,
So,
Nishita.
right, hi, sir. So, Store is doing really well. So, during the initial days, how
Hmm.
was the brand awareness made with the influencers and targeting them?
Sure. So, Nishida, as I mentioned, when we just started, we didn't have too much money for influencer campaigns and celebrities or discounts. I think what really helped us was, I think one of our first licenses, and we like calling it a lucky license, was Friends. Now, the reason for that was that Friends at that point in time, in about 2013, 2014, was a show that had come, it had gone. And it was coming occasionally on TV, but it wasn't as popular as it is today. So at a time when we got the license, it wasn't it wasn't repeated as often as it is today on television, which is why we were actually able to get the license for a slightly lower amount than what someone would pay today. And the beauty is our license, us getting the license kind of coincided with older fans starting to watch it again and again. Those old fans, again getting excited about Friends. And then those old fans wanted to come to the Soul Store and buy that merchandise because they remembered watching the show when they grew up. So I think our timing was definitely fantastic. And what we made sure we did is, if we get the license, we don't want to simply put a Friends logo on a t-shirt and sell it. We actually wanted to make cool, fun designs that fans would actually be proud of wearing. We also want to make sure that when you come on our website, you're not simply buying a product or simply transacting. You are actually having an experience as a fan of Friends or Big Bang Theory or Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. So, I'm sure Annette will actually give this example better than I can. But when we launched the Harry Potter collection, if you bought a Harry Potter product, you would get the Hogwarts letter free or the Daily Prophet free. And as when we saw customers, right, they were actually more excited about the letter than the actual product that they were buying. And we saw so many fans on social media telling us, "Oh my God, I'm so excited! I got a Hogwarts letter. It's something I've been dreaming of since I was a kid." When the letters went out of stock, we had so many people telling us, "Hey, please get the letter back. Please get the letter back." So I think understanding what fans want, going out of your way in terms of product, in terms of communication, in terms of marketing, in terms of design. I think these are the things that really helped us stand out from the competition. This is what made customers come back again and again and reduce our marketing cost. I think this is also what a lot of other licensors looked at, saying, "Hey, this is what the sourcer is doing to a brand." And after the first two or three licenses, we actually had so many other brands and licensors coming to us and saying, "Hey, we love what you did with Friends and The Big Bang Theory. Why don't you take our license as well? Because we think you guys will do a great job in growing our brand in the country." So I think having people acknowledge and appreciate what we did and having people approach us just put us in a very, very good, strong position to actually grow that license portfolio. And yeah, we've not looked back since.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it's been a really, really okay. Pawan, do you have another
Sure.
question? Sir, can you take another one?
Yes, please, no problem.
Sorry for taking your time, sir.
No
But
problem.
I had a question. You stopped the few accessories part, like mobile
Yes.
covers, books, and the mugs. Can I
Yes.
know the reason? Like, why did you stop that?
Okay, interesting. So I think again, Pawan, very interesting question. We've received lots of customers and fans asking us, "I love your badges. Where can I get them? Can I please get them?" I can already see Annette nodding in the background. So yeah, it was a conscious decision for us to move away from certain smaller ticket items, in terms of reaching certain economies of scale, reaching certain efficiencies in terms of shipping costs, logistics costs, operations, etc. As the brand kept growing, the minimum order quantities that we wanted or the minimum expectation that we had from every category and every design kept increasing. Because today I can either have 500 designs on my website or I can have 5,000 designs on my website. But the idea is we want to focus on a core set of categories, on a core set of designs, and we would rather do lesser things at a much larger scale rather than simply having tons and tons of products. So I think that was one of the reasons that we did slowly discontinue the notebooks and the badges and a couple of other accessories. But going forward, our focus is going to be a lot more on apparel. And within apparel, you will see a lot of innovations, like I said, in terms of fits, in terms of fabrics, in terms of seasonal products, like a separate collection for the monsoon, for the summer, for the winter, a lot more functional and gym related products. So I think you will see a lot of very cool stuff happening on the apparel front. However, if any of you guys are in Bombay or heading to Bombay, then at some of our offline stores, we do still have some badges and notebooks and pins. So you guys can definitely stop by one of our stores and pick up the last few pieces left.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to be rushing to the store.
Awesome.
Does anybody else have any question? Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here today and speaking to us. I'm really, really glad that we had this conversation. And I'm pretty sure, speaking on behalf of the entire class, we've gotten a lot of tips on entrepreneurship and how to, how to feel that, you're on the right path. And I think this conversation for me personally has been really helpful. And I'm really glad and I wish Soul Store all the best for the future. And thank you so much, sir.
No, most welcome, and it's great chatting with all of you guys. And as I mentioned, I was busy bunking college and wasting time and having fun and watching movies when I was your age. So the fact that you guys are actually taking time out, like following businesses, asking the right questions, I think you guys are already off to a great start anyway. So just I think keep up the enthusiasm, keep up the hard work, and I can absolutely promise you that every challenge, every failure, every irritating, frustrating moment that is there, you just dig a little deeper, just push a little harder, and the satisfaction on the other side is going to make all of it worth it. So whenever you are going through any challenge, always realize that the difference between you and the next person is that both of you all are going through the same challenge, but eventually you're going to work harder, you're going to push harder, and you're going to be the one succeeding at the other end. So I think make sure that you are motivating yourself, make sure that you realize that eventually your hard work will pay off. But it's going to be a long journey. Life is not a video game. You don't get those bonuses and the gratification instantly. So prepare for the long haul and it can be a very, very satisfying journey.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you guys.